They said Brexit was done. That Britain had taken back control of its borders, its laws, and its money. But tonight, a new storm is brewing. Because deep within the corridors of Brussels, whispers have begun to echo once more. Whispers that Britain may soon pay, literally, for Keir Starmer's so-called reset deal with the European Union. Before we uncover what's really happening behind closed doors, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your opinion. Do you think Starmer is selling out Britain, or simply trying to rebuild broken bridges? Your thoughts might be featured in our next episode, so don't scroll away now. In May, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer stood side by side with Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. It was presented as a moment of reconciliation, the so-called reset, a bold attempt to move on from the bitter spats of the Brexit years. The agreement, broad and ambitious, touched on food standards, carbon border taxes, and new avenues for trade. But what the public didn't hear that day, what lurked behind the polished smiles, was a quiet clause. A clause that could see Britain once again paying into the EU's budget for the first time since Brexit. The Financial Times revealed that on Friday, EU member states were set to meet again, this time to discuss exactly how Britain could be made to pay. And the motive? To make the UK contribute to a regional levelling up fund in return for easing border checks on animal and plant products and allowing smoother, cheaper energy trading. One EU diplomat laid it out bluntly. Third countries that want access to the EU internal market pay. You can't have the benefits of membership when you're not a member. It was a statement that cut deep, as if Brussels was reminding Britain that freedom, it seems, always comes with a price tag. And as these discussions unfold, the outrage in Westminster is boiling over. Dame Priti Patel, the Tory shadow foreign secretary, launched a blistering attack on Starmer's deal, calling it an outrageous hit job on British taxpayers. She accused the Prime Minister of lacking the backbone to stand up to Brussels, of paving the way for what she described as an attempt to extort cash from Britain as punishment for leaving the EU. In her words, Starmer is so desperate to ingratiate himself with the EU club and undo Brexit by the back door that he concedes to every request. When Labour negotiates, Britain loses. And Patel wasn't alone. Behind the scenes, EU diplomats have begun questioning Britain's so-called good faith, suggesting that even Starmer's promises may not hold under the pressure of negotiation. This reset deal, once hailed as a new chapter, now faces turbulence on multiple fronts. Among its promises were the UK's return to the Erasmus student exchange programme and hopes of creating a youth mobility scheme, allowing young people to live, work, and study across Europe again. But as the talks stumble, Sir Rees-Mogg, never one to mince his words, delivered his own warning. The EU is always after our money and never deals in good faith. We must not give it another brass farthing. On the other side, Naomi Smith, chief executive of the pro-EU group Best for Britain, struck a very different tone. She argued it was time for both sides to make good on their promises, from defence cooperation to agri-food trade, and most importantly, giving young people unparalleled opportunities to live, study and work across borders. The British government, meanwhile, is walking a fine line. A spokesperson stated, "We are working together with the EU to implement the package agreed at the UK-EU summit. We will only agree deals that provide value to the UK and UK industry. Nothing has been agreed, and we will not give a running commentary on ongoing talks." And across the Channel, the European Commission's message echoed with optimism. At the summit, the EU and the UK marked the beginning of a new chapter, promoting prosperity on both sides and strengthening cooperation on common priorities. But beneath those polished words, a far deeper question remains. Is this cooperation, or quiet capitulation? Britain's reset with Brussels was supposed to mark a new dawn, a relationship based on respect and partnership. Yet tonight, the storm clouds gather once again. Because when money enters the equation, trust becomes fragile, and promises start to blur. So, is Britain truly moving forward, or simply paying the price of the past? Only time will tell. But one thing's certain, this story is far from over. If you believe Britain's future in Europe is being rewritten right before our eyes, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what you think in the comments. Should the UK pay into the EU budget again, or is this the start of a quiet betrayal of Brexit? Your voice matters, and the debate begins now.